How are you doing? I'm hoping that the month of February, the month of love, is coming along well. It is 7 days into that month, and I'm hoping that it's coming along pretty nicely and easily. We want to say thank you for making time. Thank you for choosing Rwanda Television. Thank you for choosing the summit. It is the Summit O'Clock. As always, my name is Eugene Anangwe. Thank you for making time. Of course, this is a program that is very interactive. It actually cuts across. It's a Pan-African talk show. We get to bring and scale the heights, of course, to bring conversations that make sense to us as a continent. But of course, sometimes we come closer back at home and try to understand some of the things that we are doing to ensure that the country is progressing even better. Definitely, it's an interactive conversation, and all you need to do is join us across our social media platforms. You can go on the X platform, it's at RBA Rwanda, but of course you can also tweet me directly or X me directly if you want, at Eugene Anangwe. Remember to always add the hashtag the Summit RW. It makes it easier for us to follow or track your comments or your feedback whenever you are sharing your thoughts with us. We are also live on YouTube. Just go to RwandaTV on YouTube. If there's anyone you feel needs to have this conversation or hear it, please remind them that they need to be able to join us across those platforms. I'm not alone on this particular conversation. We get joined by guests who join us right here in studio, but also those who get to talk to us from across different parts of the world. Like right now, we are joined in studio, but also we have those who are joining us all the way from Canada. They are joining us via way of Skype. And of course, they are right here with us. I'll be giving you details about the two of them. They are the amazing twins. I think you saw them at Rwanda Day. And of course, they'll be sharing with us their thoughts on this conversation that we have tonight. We are talking about how to leverage on the power of diaspora. And of course, right here in studio, I also have guests who have joined us right here in the studio. They've played different roles when it comes to the diaspora issue right here. I'm here with Francine Munyaneza. She is the founder and CEO of Munyaks Eco. Nice. Thank you so much for making time. You've been out there and you decided to come home, and you're doing or running a very interesting project around solar power. Thank you so much for making time on the program.
Thank you for your invitation.
Thank you. Also with us in the program is Ignatius Mugabo. He's the managing director of Mu Goals International Limited. And of course, he's lived both in Denmark and the UK. You've served as the Secretary General and also Chairman of Rwanda Diaspora in the UK, and also involved in many Rwanda days in terms of mobilization and pushing the Rwandan diaspora to invest back at home. Thank you for joining us. And like I mentioned, we are joined virtually by Josephine Higiro, who's a co-founder, Shelter Them, of course, Batarure. And of course, we have Jocelyn Alexandra Butoi, who's also the co-founder of the same institution. Both of them are joining us via way of Skype from Toronto. It's not Toronto, it's Toronto. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. You look amazing. Thank you so much for making time. I want to start right here in studio. And for us to just make sense, the dust is slowly settling down on one of the biggest events in the calendar of activities that unite Rwandans from across the world. That is Rwanda Day. And of course, this event really did take place, and it had a lot of pomp and color, but very deep conversations right there. I want to do what we always do. We start with the ladies, and I want to start with you, Francine, here in studio, just to share with us, first of all, and make sense of what we saw. I know we are getting used to what we saw and some of the what it transpired right there. But I want to first understand the role of diaspora. Why is it significant, even for a nation, to consider that we need to mobilize our diaspora? Wherever they are, we need to mobilize them. Let's start from there, first of all.
Yeah, I think it's very important. Why? Because I think diaspora, it's human resource. Mm-hmm. There are some value to human resource. Yeah. There are some competencies. Mm-hmm. You know, we have been exposed to something different. Mm-hmm. Maybe not better, but different. Mm-hmm. So it's good to see how we can interact. Mm-hmm. And bring something new. Mm-hmm. Sometimes some of us has made some had got some higher education, some other not higher education but experience, or both of them. And I think it's always a value addition to a country, we need not to forget them, not to forget us, because it's really very good addition. And also there are some studies all over the world which shows what is the amount of diaspora, even the people even who didn't come back to their country, the amount of money they sent in their countries, and it's much more than the support from the
global support.
Yeah, the global support that is so.
Yes, I see that.
Very important. Yeah.
Thank you. But Ignatius, you have mobilized. You've participated in the mobilization exercise. Take us through what it takes to actually pull together a diaspora to be able to be part of such, an event. How easy or how difficult is it?
Thank you, Anangwe. It's my pleasure to be here. It's both difficult and easy at the same time. Let me just say, first of all, that the diaspora is a force for good. It's also a force for development. You just have to look at a few countries, like India, the Philippines, Jamaica, and closer to home, you just have to look at your homeland, Kenya. And
I thought it was Rwanda.
And Uganda. We're coming to Rwanda now.
Yes.
and Uganda. They have contributed a lot in so many sectors, especially in real estate development in some of those countries. And coming back to your question, it's for Rwanda it's easy because Rwanda is very organized, both internally and externally. So whenever there's a Rwanda Day, they're always looking forward to that. But there are some efforts put in. Mobilizers do come from here. They go and work with the diaspora leaders to make sure that no Rwandan is left behind. And the involvement of the embassies is very important. And they work together with diaspora communities. Diaspora communities are organized through the Rwandan community abroad, which is based at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And that's a department that coordinates the entire diaspora. So it's not very difficult.
It's not very difficult, especially like you said, for Rwanda it's easy. And in most cases, it is the Rwandans in diaspora looking forward to the event, so it makes it easier. I want to cross over to Toronto right about now. And I know both of you look so alike. I'm super confused. I don't know who's Jocelyn. I don't know who is Josephine. Just maybe raise a hand for Josephine. Who's Josephine? Pink? Yes. And Jocelyn is in green. Thank you very much. I want to start, by trying to understand, first of all, you two participated. You asked a very interesting question to the head of state. But I want just to get a feel of what it takes for you being in the diaspora to remain connected to your roots back at home. Why is that even important? And how easy or how difficult is it for the two of you to have that? I mean, maybe I'll start with Josephine to answer, and then we can hear from Jocelyn.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share our experiences as both Rwandans and Canadians at this point. And we were in the U.S., in Washington, D.C. So now I guess we're Americans. It's North America at the end. But what I would say about how easy or difficult it is to live in Canada as a Rwandan is, first of all, I would say that's easy. Because like somebody mentioned, Rwanda has done so much and provided us with different associations to connect with as Rwandans. And that makes it easy for us to get together and be engaged as Rwandans through different events. Even a Rwanda Day by itself, how it was organized, you can tell there was a system behind it. And they maintain Rwanda as not just a country that has a beauty, but a country that has a brand. It's recognized. I was surprised by the Uber drivers that we took in the US. They're like, you're from Rwanda? You're going to Rwanda Day? Stay here with me. I'm moving to Rwanda as well. So it's been easy, to be honest. I don't know what is difficult at this point.
You don't
it's just all great experiences. No.
Yeah. I doubt if your sister will have a different response to that. So I'm not going to ask the same question to her. The question I'm going to ask is, how do we ensure that the goodwill that the country continues to see from its citizens living abroad is leveraged even more? What needs to be done so that we can see more of your contributions? I know we'll have some time to speak about the projects that you're doing back here at home, but what needs to be done to ensure that there is even more participation by the Rwandans in the diaspora back here at home?
I will say that even the theme that says to leverage the power of a diaspora, that really touched my heart. One word, the power, that means you still believe in us, that diaspora people, we have a value and there's a power. So that already gives us a credit and the responsibilities as either as Canadian and Rwandans to reach out back home and do something. One thing that I want to share with you, being in Canada for 27 years, I'm married with a Canadian background Portuguese. People still say, oh, hi, you're a Canadian, but what's your background? Because obviously I'm not white. I'm something to them that is other than Canadian who was born here. So people from Rwanda accepting us as a value and telling us there is a power, it gives me an identity. I need to be, to know who I am, not just Canadian, but as a Rwandan.
Right.
So it's my
Can
contribution
to that, if you don't mind?
to help and support my people.
Right, right. I'll come to you, Josephine, but let's get back here in studio and try to ask this question. But I'm going to definitely come back to you to be able to add or chip in what you wanted to say. But Francine, you came back and you settled in the country, much as probably there are still ins and outs, but you settled in the country to carry out some very key projects, and that is within the green economy. Talk to us a bit about the decision-making process of coming back. We find that it's usually very difficult for Rwandans in diaspora or anyone in the diaspora to make that decision, I'm going back home, especially having spent so many years outside. How easy, how difficult is making that decision, and why even the choice of coming back?
Yeah. In fact, to say that it's difficult, again, it depends on your personality, what you want to do and what you love to do. It's a question of love, in fact, definitely. And for me personally, the story is that I was born outside the country, in Belgium. I grew up in Belgium, partly in Rwanda and partly in DRC. And then later on, I worked internationally. I was working for the International Committee of the Red Cross. I loved my work, going from one country to another one. When I was a child, at a certain time, I didn't have access to electricity, and it was very difficult. And then when I was traveling again with my job at an International Committee of the Red Cross, again, I saw the challenge of lack of electricity. I was coming here also. I came back to Rwanda. My first time was 2001. And again, I saw the same problem. At that time, it was really, really tough. Huh? And I said, okay, I need to do something. And I wanted to do a business which has a sense. So that's how I chose solar energy. I made it very simple. There is a lot of solar in Africa, no energy. So let's see how we can do solar and energy. And for me, it was not too difficult, personally, because I was working in different way, international, in different places. And I was used to adapt to different situations. Yeah. So I knew that it would be difficult. Right. Okay, maybe I underestimate the difficulty, because when you are doing a company, it's difficult. I knew that it would be difficult, but I knew that I'm doing something that I love. I'm doing something which has an impact, a business which has a social impact, environmental impact. So this is really a motivation to come back for me. That was, and to come back in your country. I will tell you the first time I came back in Rwanda in 2001, I was used, as I said to you, to travel in different places and to be a foreigner. Yeah. And it's not a problem for me to be a foreigner. But when I came back to Rwanda, the person at the immigration, you know, when you enter at the airport, the immigration, he looked at me, and at that time I had the Belgian passport. He looked at me, he didn't open the passport, and he said to me in Kinyarwanda, but you are our sister. What are you doing with this passport? You know, you can have the Rwandese passport. You can do that. You will not pay. At that time, we were paying visa fees. You will not pay fees. It will be easy for you. Yeah. And he said, you are at your place. Yeah. And there is nowhere else that I'm coming, someone is just watching me, and he knows that I'm a Rwandan person. I am in my country.
And deserve the treatment of a person coming back home.
Yeah, and really encouraging me to say, this is your country, please take the passport, do that. Very positive. Yeah. I was so happy, believe me. Yeah.
Interesting. And Ignatius, for you, UK and deciding to come back, I think also you have the in and out, but that decision to say, let me come back home and, you know, contribute to national development from here. Most people usually want to go out, in many cases, not all, because they say, maybe I'm going to seek greener pastures. And probably there's that, in quotes, privilege of being called a diaspora or being out there. And the choice of coming back, what drove that? And why would you encourage, probably, if possible, some who are feeling like they can impact more back at home to come back?
Let me just start by commenting on the question you asked the twins earlier about the importance of mobilizing the Rwandan diaspora. Yeah. I think the Rwanda of 30 years ago that we see today, the post-94 Rwanda is built on a very, very important concept, that the most important resource this country has is its own people.
It's its people.
And that's why it's very important. You see even the president throwing them up wherever they are. Because that's the resource, the most important resource that he has. And that's the most important resource that the country has. So returning to your question, for me it was pretty easy from the beginning. Let me share this story. When I went to Denmark in 1999, and one day a gentleman, a Kenyan, came to my office. I was lucky because I went to Denmark straight into an internship kind of work with a human rights organization that had operations here in Rwanda. So this gentleman came to my office. He had been in Denmark for 27 years. Yeah. He was Kenyan. Yeah. He was part of the, what's this revolution in your country?
Mau
rebellion.
Yes, rebellion, yes.
So he sat down with me and he told me the stories. I was new in Denmark. He has been in the country for 27 years. He told me the first 10 were okay. You know, he was having a good time and he had a job and he married a Danish white woman. And then eventually he lost his job. And he became what they call in Denmark a husman. A husman is like we say a housewife. Now he was how do you call a husband wife?
He stays at home.
Stay at home man, husband. Yes. And he was looking after their one child, and life was very miserable. So he used to come to my office, we sit down and talk, and he didn't want to go home. And then he looked at me one day and said, young man, make sure you go back home when you still have some energy.
Not like him. He had lost so much of his energy, youthfulness. Yes.
That stuck with me. I lived in Denmark for 3 years, then moved to London. Yeah. But at the back of my mind, I was always saying, look, I really have to return home when I still have some energy. So I did further studies, gathered a few skills where I was working. And then at some point I said, look, there is a field I can contribute to. Yeah. And that's what I've been doing ever since I came. Yeah. And that field is fire safety.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So interesting. Yeah. And I want to hear from the two amazing ladies, Jocelyn and Josephine, especially on the aspect of that debate of whether to come back or to contribute from where you are. Where do you stand on that debate? If someone was to tell you, hey, you need to go back home to Rwanda, or you can still continue contributing from where you are. What's your take on this? Let's see what you think around that.
So adding to what Jocelyn was saying,
Yeah.
actually, when we were in Ottawa during the youth convention, we met an IOM representative, and I looked at the study they've done, and they looked at 433 Rwandans in Canada and 460 in the US. And the study shows that 2 out of 3, they actually plan to relocate to Rwanda. I found that very impressive. Because there are so many reasons why people are here. They move and they might, but in 2024, to see 2 out of 3 people wanting to go back home, it's incredible. And I did talk to a few young people, and I was saying, how do you feel about going to Rwanda? Just starting from my cousin, who is graduating from, who's doing her master's in psychology. She said, you know what, I want to go. And I was thinking even for myself, I want to go. People who drive Uber, they want to go. They're not even Rwandans. So it's very impressive, if I should say.
Right. Jocelyn, what about you?
For me, yes. You mentioned 2 things. One, to go back to Rwanda, or second, contribute to your country.
From where you are.
Correct?
Yes.
Yes. So first one, my husband, his background, he's an engineer, private jet mechanic. Okay. We did plan to come to Rwanda about 8 years ago. So he can come train or work on the jets or on the plane from Rwanda. We had a meeting with the leader here. We went to Rwanda, had a meeting with the minister. It wasn't a plan, but my husband had a terrible accident. And unfortunately, right now, he's at home 5 years now on disability. It's unfortunate, but so that plan didn't work out. But as you heard on Rwanda Day, my sister and I, since 2006, we raised thousands of dollars to support the community in Rwanda, in Bugesera, and in Kigali. So you got both. I tried.
Yeah. Right. Sorry about the incident with your husband, but honestly speaking, I think it's a conversation that is a double-edged sword, because what we need is the contribution. And I think maybe sometimes it doesn't matter where you are.
Definitely.
And maybe we might not need you back here, because the contribution is even more when you're out there in terms of the remittances. But I want to understand also from the kind of support that you do, the contribution that you do back here. What would you need to be able to do even more than that? Maybe just not speaking about you yourself, but even your fellow Rwandans who live in Canada. What are they telling you that would make them contribute even more back home? In fact, contribute and participate in even more national issues back here in the country?
I was looking at the reason why diasporas, they may not be involved or play a big role in our country, in the area of economic development, transfer knowledge, skills, create businesses. One is because we need to keep connecting, number one. Number two, we need to be useful. Words speaks louder than action speaks louder than words.
Yes.
Right? Number three, we need to work together. My goodness. If you allow me, since the Rwanda Day, I had 5 people who called me asking me to help them how to start a charity. So that already I was like, is that a children you want to help and women? Because we already do that. How about we do it together?
Nice. Right.
You understand my point, right?
Yes. No need of reinventing the wheel. You can actually collaborate.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
That's right.
Josephine, just to build on what your sister is saying, especially on the aspect of those three key elements that she speaks about, the unity, the connection, the collaborations. What is taking long for it to happen? Because for me, I'm always asking that question. We can move far and faster at the same time. The head of state says that. How do we ensure that that is happening? What do we need to do today?
I believe since Rwanda now is very connected, it's through different associations, but here in Canada, we need to communicate in the sense that we join hands with all the activities we do. Like you said, it was about 83% that sent money to Rwanda, 30% on the business and invest in Rwanda as well. And through education, we're talking about 76% of Canadians, Rwandan Canadians, have a bachelor's degrees in higher education. And maybe about 60%, they're actively involved in economic development of some sort. So if we can come together and bring our expertise, our education, our knowledge, and put it together instead of individual efforts and organizations. Let me give you an example. I met the representative of a bank at Kigali, and I said, can we put all the businesses together who have a corporate culture attitude or sections and contribute the money into one foundation instead of each business collecting $1,000 a month to donate to any little social enterprises, but collect all the businesses who wanted to do a culture development and then fund not-for-profit or foundation or philanthropy work. So collectively join hands and contribute to the economic development, but not separately, not individually.
Yeah. And I want to hear from both of my guests right here in studio. What would stop such a thing? It's a beautiful idea, but what do we need to do so that we are dealing with that challenge of lack of unity or wanting to do things in isolation? I see that a lot. Sometimes we have people from different countries who live in a foreign country, but they rarely meet. In fact, they don't even want to be known by the fellow country person that they live in that area. That secretiveness, that isolation, it keeps us from going far. And I want to hear from you, what would be needed to be able to ensure that that is happening, especially that kind of an idea of how do we do things collectively? What would stop such a project?
It's very challenging. It's very challenging because we can have very nice idea, and I'm really admiring the two twins because I really love the way they are talking and their spirit. But also, you know, when I'm talking about me, I'm not in charity, I'm in company, in private sector, where you have a lot of challenges. You create job, we are 30 staff, we have an impact, social, environmental. And I would love really to see how we can be together. But already I'm a little bit overwhelmed by what we are doing. And that's first. We have also our constraints as a company. And sometimes we say, okay, but we can try to be together, and we have some association. For example, in the private sector, we have PSF and we have Energy Private Developer Association, where people who are working in energy are together. So it's a way also to be together and to see how we can be unified. That's a way, association of private developers. And maybe there's a possibility also to do that with charity or with others. But it needs again good leadership for that. And I'm really inviting the twin ladies to present themselves, to really push and to take the lead from the idea they have. And I'm ready also to be with you and to connect with you with great pleasure.
Wonderful. Ignatius, what about you? What do you think, what needs to be done from an incentive perspective to fast track some of these amazing ideas of collective responsibility by those in the diaspora?
First of all, I think something you mentioned about people not wanting to associate and everybody wanting to live on their own, and I think Rwanda we have passed that. The Rwandans we have passed that. The diaspora I know of 1999 and the diaspora of today are totally different. You see, Rwanda has got a very complicated history of refugees and people not welcome in their own country. So people who left Rwanda years back, they are very hesitant to, even to know what's going on. When we, around 1999, around that time, you even met somebody, when you had just came from Rwanda, people became a bit suspicious. Why is he here? What has he come for? Maybe he's been sent by the government. You understand? So they didn't want to hear much about coming back and all that. But now that has changed. If they were looking for green pastures over there, and think now they want to create Rwanda green, so everyone can fit in within the a beautiful Rwanda that we have today. Right. So what do you need? You need a conducive atmosphere, like it's been created and it's continued to be created. You need a very active diplomatic community. Rwanda needs diplomats who understand how the current multipolar global economy world works. I know the word multipolar will be contested, but I can take on that another time when somebody else wants to challenge it. Right. So that's what we need. The diplomatic community which is able to engage the diaspora, which is able to explain things, explain sectors that people are interested in. Because you find many people interested in so many sectors, in different sectors. And they ask, what can I do in agriculture, for example? What can I do in ICT? So our diplomatic team must be strong to explain all those sectors and channel people where they want to go. Right.
As you talk about the diplomatic team, I want to go back to Canada and try to understand from the two ladies. Josephine, I'll ask you this question, especially on that aspect of standing for the country and represent the country. You both are not so old. You're very, very youthful, in my very humble opinion. And I want to take you back to the statement by the head of state, the president of this great republic, where he mentioned that, the young people of this country, from whatever part of the world they are, will actually determine where. It's up to them to determine where do you want the future of this country to go. And as I ask that question, I'm not, blind to the fact that the country does receive sometimes a lot of undue criticism from majorly outsiders who are out there. While you're out there, especially Rwandans in the diaspora, what role do you think you can play to set the record straight, especially when there's a lot of misinformation about a country you call your home, a country that is so dear to your heart? What do you need to do as people within the diaspora? What's your role?
I like to, I'm not sure if Justin was talking, but I think that's me. For me, I do believe the diaspora does have a big responsibility in both to advance the economy and also to be engaged in political aspect as well. And we can't help it. Like politics is part of everything, part of who we are, even if we're not involved. It affects us, even if we don't vote. So looking at Rwanda and the reputation it has, to continue to build it in a positive way, is to make sure that, one, we carry ourselves with dignity, respect, and continue to be a role model, looking at the country, how they're moving with the reputation. And to do that is to make sure that people who are talking bad about the country, if you see somebody saying anything wrong, mention it. Say, no, I don't accept it. It's not true. All the deniers of the genocide against Tutsis, all these people, just make sure that your voice is heard on a both to say that I am Rwandan. This is how we're moving together, united with dignity and respect. So we need to make sure our voices are heard
Yeah.
On both ends.
Right. And is this usually the time that, those in the diaspora, especially those who have dual citizenship, for example, for us who believe in the Bible, who actually denied more than once? They denied Jesus. Who was that? I need to refresh my Bible studies. Was it
Judah?
Peter.
Who denied Jesus?
Peter.
Yes, until the cock did cocorioko. Was it Peter?
Peter, yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
So
it was Peter.
In this particular case, and probably this is for you, Jocelyn, sometimes is this when now you say, I'm not Rwandan. How do you ensure that you stay in character, you continue to defend, even when things are so thick and someone is coming at you in a very negative way about your country? But you have an option of saying, me, I'm actually Canadian, and now you push away the Rwandan passport. How do you stay true to your country? How do you stay true to the vision of your country, even when you have a choice or an option to put aside, that nationality?
As I mentioned earlier about identity, it is very important to me, Eugene, because I can be Canadian, I can be anything else, but if I don't know really who I am, I have been in Canada since '97, and I can say I'm proud, and I still speak in Rwanda very well with my mother, my old aunties, because culture, language, the identity of who I am, it really helps me to live, I would say. That's a strong word. So if you say Rwanda, it touches my heart already, and it touches my families who stay in Rwanda. We're a few people in Canada. It's my sister and I, my old sister, my aunt, the rest of my brothers, and everybody in Rwanda. So it's a part of who I am. So you speak to Rwanda, you speak it wrong, you will hear from me. That's me. I have to bring awareness.
Yeah.
I have to bring a good system. Yeah. Make sure that you get it right. It's my job. If even my daughter who's 9 years old, she knows my country. She knows home. Yeah. It's important. It's important.
Very powerful. Very powerful. Ignatius, you want to chip in? Yes.
Chip in here. Eugene, if you want to know how dear your country is, live in a foreign country, then you'll find out how dear your country is. You will never, ever be accepted as one of their own, no matter how, even if you acquire their citizenship. They always ask you, as one of them said, where did you come from originally? But I'm from here, even if you're born there. There's always that question. In Denmark, they have this question, Vokama Dufa, where do you come from? The first, after greeting you, you meet on the train or on the bus or in a public place. After greeting, you say, oh, where do you come from? Going back to the issue of undue criticism that you mentioned, I've dealt with a lot of that negativity, back in my former responsibility as a diaspora leader. I remember in 2010, after elections of 2010, there was a lot of questions, about how the elections have been conducted. Why did the president win this percentage? And and most of the people who bring up these criticisms, they don't really understand where Rwanda has come from. They don't know where it has come from. They don't know why they vote the way they vote. So in one of the studios like this, I asked the guy who was interviewing me, I said, look, if you say the Rwandans in Rwanda are subjected to vote in a certain way, what about us in diaspora? We voted, I think at that time it was 96%. I was involved in the elections in London, at our embassy. And I saw how the whole thing went. So I asked this guy, how about us? What tool does the government have to control us, to vote the way we vote? And, so I think the diaspora have a role just to explain. When somebody understands the history of Rwanda, where it's come from, where it is now, then you understand the patterns of what is happening and the dynamics that drive this country. you know.
And so it's a collective thing.
It's a collective responsibility,
and it takes the belief in your principles as a Rwandan from wherever part.
And you have to understand one thing.
Yeah.
Even those who criticize you, they are being criticized by others.
Yeah.
There's no country that is perfect.
Right.
There's no society that is perfect.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So you just take it, and you know it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world, but you need to
you have to challenge them.
Like Jocelyn said, you mess up with my country,
yes.
I come for you.
Yes.
Right. Francine, what about you? Especially on the aspect of some of, maybe we can move the conversation forward and maybe ask this particular question in terms of some of the things that you feel need to be done, or if they were done, either from a regulatory perspective, incentive perspective, for those either returning or those still in the diaspora, for them to continue to perform their duties as honorable citizens of this great nation, what would those be? If, let's say, there's a head of a government institution listening to us tonight, and there are key things that you feel your peers have been asking for, if that is done, they could be able to do even more. What would those things be? Maybe 2 or 3.
Good question. What can be done to make people more comfortable to come back?
And contribute.
And
they
contribute.
Can even do it from where
yes, they can contribute from outside. It's a difficult question because I never thought about that. You are challenging me, Eugene.
It's okay.
You are challenging me. Yeah. The thing is that to come back, you really need, I'm thinking loudly, to come back, you really need to have good condition to come back. There is still, I know that there is still this Rwanda Day, there is a lot of things which are done to encourage the diaspora to come back. There are many things. And I'm really impressed also sometimes about that. What can be done more or better? I think, that's a good question.
Should I give you time to think about it?
Yeah, give me time. Maybe he is a specialist of diaspora, and then I will come back to you.
It's okay. I'm going to come to Ignatius, but let me cross over to Canada and hear from Josephine. What are those things, probably from your peers when you're listening to them, when you put your ears on the ground, and even for you yourselves, the contribution you're making through the school and the support of those you're supporting? If there's any regulatory framework, or if there's anything that could be done to make you do even more, what would that be?
The last time I asked Minister Assumpta at the time, I met with her, and I was asking how can the government work with non-governmental philanthropy organizations to facilitate our work. She came to visit, actually, which I was very grateful. And since then, I see the effort of the government agencies coming along when we request anything. It becomes easy. If we need a land, like right now, in the process of asking for extra land, perhaps another 5 acres land, and work with our farming co-ops in the Bugesera district. So when I send a request, it used to take long emails and follow-ups. Like His Excellency was asking, what's taking time? Why are we taking forever? Can we not do both? Go far and fast together?
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that facilitating diaspora when you want to invest in education, open businesses, do investment, social initiative, philanthropy, cultural exchange, make it easy for us to do what we want to do to advance the country economically and both politically as well.
Right.
So facilitate us, make it easy.
Make it easier. Jocelyn, if tonight there are members of the diaspora, Rwandan diaspora, who you told I'm going to be speaking tonight, and they're actually holding their hopes on you, pegging their hopes on you that you're going to represent them so well. I'm putting a lot of pressure on you, like I did with Francine. And they're listening to you right now. If you're going to, I'm coming, coming to you. And they're probably listening to you right now. If there's anything that they always wish to be improved on or to be made better, maybe it's working, but if more can be done, what would those be for them to contribute even more in nation building back at home? What would that be?
Okay, so for me, to encourage people to come to Rwanda, number one, they must have a goal and purpose first. And once you do, the second one is the responsibility of Rwandans who are in Rwanda in the level of local government, hospitals, universities, institutions, to make sure that there's enough resources, there's a good system, as Josephine said, with the respect of time and a value to facilitate us or any diasporas are coming in a country to support and help. Do you know what I mean? So let's encourage people, diaspora, to come, to share their knowledge, but make sure that one is ready for us. Because when I took my husband, let me say he was going to fix the planes in Rwanda, if he was setting up the meetings at 3 o'clock and the person's meeting comes at 4, there's an hour late, that was already, oops, uh-oh.
Yeah.
So time, system, resources. I think Josephine and I, we have a way we can do some workshop and help these type of two parties.
Yeah.
Diasporas and Rwanda.
Right. So since we already have a Rwanda Day, we can have a Kigali Day and do it from
yes,
here.
Yes, absolutely. Why not?
Yeah, if that was to happen, I want to be the facilitator. I want to be a moderator.
Actually, I have a good news for you.
Yes,
Sorry.
yes.
We're coming next month.
Oh.
Me, Josephine, and I.
Come. Karibu sana.
And we're taking 20 Canadians, so there you go.
Yeah, wonderful. This is good news. Thank you so much. Francine, you're back. I think you can tell me now my answer. I've been waiting for it.
Yeah, in fact, I think sometimes we are looking for, people have the feeling that we are looking for some advantages as diaspora.
Or some entitlement.
Yes.
Some people argue and say maybe diaspora are so entitled.
Yeah, what's the meaning of so?
Entitlement means they feel so big.
Yeah. And okay, it's not my case. I always say that we are together. Yeah. But definitely, sometimes also there is this misunderstanding between us. Because we are in mixed culture, and for me, my mixed culture is from DRC and Belgium. I'm straightforward, very direct, and sometimes I can feel that people are not comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But on the same time, it has some advantages. Yeah. Okay, it has some advantages to be more diplomatic, as we said, and it has some advantages also to be direct. And sometimes it's not well perceived. And for me, it's very important maybe that we make sensitization to people about the good side of the diaspora. Because sometimes people are afraid of us. Yeah. They consider that maybe we are like competitors or people who don't understand anything. Or
come on the ground and feel it. Yeah.
And for me, in French, we used to say, chasser le naturel, il revient au galop. Chase the natural and it will come back very rapidly. Yeah. So it's difficult for us to change. We can adapt, but to change is difficult. So for me, it's very important maybe that we valorize, do you say valorize? Yeah. To put more value.
Yes.
In the country when someone comes back, to put more value and maybe to accompany them more closely.
Right.
A kind of, not coaching, because it's different, but really to accompany.
Work with them.
Yes, work with them.
Through the journey of their return.
To the journey,
show them where the opportunities, show them where their needs are and how they can plug in.
Yeah, and also we know that there are still some challenges, as our dear friend was mentioning. We are not perfect. There is still room to improve. So sometimes also to understand what we have to say. Yeah. And to have a platform, a really, an official platform, let's say like this, where the diaspora who are here can really talk, mention their challenge, because really there is a lot of challenges. Let's not put a veil on. There is a lot of challenges and misunderstanding, and it would be really nice to have a platform of discussion specifically for us, between all of us, with people, our brothers and sisters who are not from the diaspora, to be able to resolve our issue, because there are still a lot of issues which can discourage, because don't forget that we are a kind of model. People will ask you, how does it work with your business? What are the challenges? Oh, you didn't manage to resolve that. Why? What? You see, so it's very important that people will try. We encourage people to come back, but also we say the reality. And then we say, okay, you have to know that it will be difficult, and we are here to help you.
To support you.
Yeah, to support you.
Right.
Yeah.
Ignatius, I want to come to you, but I want to bring in the people who we promised that we will read their feedback. They've been sending their tweets. Some of them have been writing comments on our live stream on YouTube. Innocent Ishimo is asking, I need to ask Ignatius this. You know Rwandan youth, many of them, they need to go outside of the country. If you get a chance to talk to them, what can you tell them?
Well, I think today's Rwandan youth have many opportunities that we didn't have in our time.
Back here at home?
Back here at home.
Okay.
If you're going for education, go and study and bring your skills back.
Right.
If you're going for any other purpose, go for it. I'm not saying don't go for it, but remember that you always want to bring it back home.
Right.
Is a skill or money to invest, or your networks. You know, I always say diaspora have three things. They have money. They work very hard to get that money from. They work very hard to get that money from where they are. They have networks, and they have skills.
Right.
Those are three tools that we need here.
Purpose to bring it back.
Yes.
All right. I have another question for the two amazing ladies, which is, for the case of these twins, what's the level of sustainability regarding their projects they have in Rwanda and the level of collaboration with the Rwandan government? I think this is a very straightforward question. Jocelyn or Josephine can take it. Just real quick, because I'm also told we need to wrap up and leave. It's a very interesting show.
Already?
Yeah. Jocelyn, did you get the question?
Okay, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Sustainability for me is everything. If you're about to start anything, if you're not going to measure it, see the result and also enjoy the process, don't start. So sustainability is everything. Shelter Them is working with Canadians, friends of Rwanda, and in Rwanda. We want to make sure that we work with children, family, community. And that is the way to reverse poverty, while you are parallel to education and jobs. Because otherwise we end up with youth who are overeducated with no jobs, or jobs with no skills. So sustainability for us is to take both diaspora and Rwanda to advance the economy while creating jobs and educating our next generation. That is the sustainability for me.
Right. I'm told now we need to take our parting shots, because the 1 hour always stays the shortest 1 hour ever. I'll start with you, Francine. Where do we go from here? What do we need to do to ensure that we are seeing more of the diaspora power impacting positively back here at home?
Yeah. What we need to do, I think I mentioned it, or maybe you are asking a different question.
Yeah, maybe a different question from here.
So, for me, it's very important, maybe, because diaspora, I feel it that it's more when you are outside the country. But when you come back, I don't feel the support for that. And I think I'm ready to discuss and to propose solution to really support the diaspora in what they are doing. Because sometimes that's what makes the diaspora going back. Because some of us are going back. They try, and then they say, oh,
let me go back.
I'm going back. And then this is a very bad example for the others. So let's try to see how we can support them so they don't go back. Or even how can, because sometimes some of us are very resilient, so we don't go back. So what can you do? What can we do together? Discuss together.
For the returning diaspora.
For the returning diaspora who are already here.
Ignatius, if you're to remember anything from this conversation tonight, one thing, what would it be?
Well, it's the ideas that we have shared. I think diaspora need more enlightenment on what's happening on the ground.
Yeah.
But also, there's some organizations that are doing a great work, like RDB, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the other that needs to step up.
Yeah.
PSF, engage the diaspora in terms of private sector development, be part of it.
Yeah.
Just there is a point that Josephine mentioned. I really want to focus on the issue of cultural change. She mentioned about like time management and meaning what you say, and foreigners who come here are frustrated by that. That issue came up in a recent UK-Rwanda Business Forum.
Yes.
How doing business with Rwanda sometimes is very difficult because of certain issues that they lack the casual way they treat like time management and other
So if
issues.
there's anything we need to do is fix that.
Fix that. And Rwandans need to learn about that.
Right. Josephine, let's start with you. If there's anything, one thing that we need to remember if we're to leave this conversation tonight, what would that be to leverage the power of diaspora? Just real quick.
To leverage the power of diaspora is to make sure that we both work in unity.
Yeah.
Not independent, but interdependent.
I've got that. Let me get your sister, because we need to go. Just real quick.
We need you. You need us. Yeah. We need a partnership.
Right.
With a good system.
Right. Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you so much for making time. And to all of you who've been talking to us on our social platforms. This conversation never ends here. It continues on our social media platforms. Let's keep talking. As always, my name is Eugene Anangwe. Goodbye and have a good one. Take care of yourselves.
Thank you.